Gonna feel so amazing, and I know this is crazy.
Hey, my name is Ben JUD. I'm a recording artist and producer from Berlin, Germany. For this video, I teamed up with Dear Reality, which is part of the Sennheiser Group since 2019, and they came out with a great reverb plugin in 2022 called the Exoverb, which I'm gonna review in this video. So stay tuned, enjoy watching, and have fun.
Many things you left unsaid.
I'll be using my original song Game Over to show you some areas in which this reverb can be used and how versatile it is. You can use it as a more traditional kind of reverb, as a plate or hall, but you can also get very creative with this tool and use it in a more sound design kind of way. But first, let's take a look into what Dear Reality's approach was while creating this reverb, and also what they're promising we get from this reverb that we don't get from all the others. Okay, so let's take a look into the official information sheet. Dear Reality's Exoverb fuels any stereo production with an immersive fingerprint, includes the mix with the most natural reverb. That sounds great. The innovative Reverb plugin offers 50 true-to-life sounding acoustic scenes with unheard three-dimensional depth and width, relying on Exoverb's proprietary reverb engine with synthesized spatial multi-IRs. Incorporating the fundamentals of spatial hearing, Exoverb enables enhanced control of the spatial distance perception, resulting in cleaned-up stereo mixes with more space for additional instruments. Okay. Experience true-to-life sounding reverbs with three-dimensional depth perception on all playback systems, both speakers and headphones. Okay, I'm very, very excited. With Exoverb, you overcome the pains of flat and two-dimensional mixes, muddy productions by using spatial separation to create a natural sounding front-back space, and 3 artificial stereo reverb sounds. Okay, so that sounds very promising and I'm very excited. So let's jump into the DAW and check it out. Okay, so here we are in Logic and in my project to my song Game Over. I canceled all the reverbs that I had in the original mix, and I want to recreate some of the spaces that I created with this song, but using Exoverb exclusively. So let's see where we're going with this. Okay, first of all, I want to listen to what Exoverb is doing to my drums. So check it out. I just insert Exoverb. Here we go. And by default, it looks like this. Let's take a look at the general user interface first. So the first thing I notice is the input-output trim, which is very useful for any kind of plugin. Here we got a balance between early and late reflections. Also a dry-wet balance, which is always very handy. But also I see this, cool. So we can actually make our blend between late and early reflections and also the wet and dry signal by just moving this white circle inside this triangular shape here. So this is very useful and very intuitive. Right now, I think I want to go 0 on 0 for everything because I'm using this as an insert on my channel strip. So let's take a look into all the controls we have. We have a pre-delay, we have a size, we have a decay, we have a width control, we have a depth control. Then obviously we can fold and unfold this EQ section right here. We can control some frequencies of the entire signal, so of the sum. We can also just control the early reflections or the late reflections. We can turn both of them or 3 of them on with this power switch right here, which is very useful. As far as I see, we only have a shelf control for the low frequency, shelf control for the high frequencies, and we have a bell control for anything we want to bell out. Okay, so let's turn all of this off real quick and see where we are going with our drums. Let's take a listen into that. We're completely dry with our drums right now. It sounds like this. Let's see what happens if we go on to an ambience. Let's take a studio ambience and just fool around a little bit. Sounds great. It's 100% wet. Ooh. I like the light reflections a lot. Okay, let's mess with the other parameters for a minute. Pre-delay. Ooh. Sounds really natural. Width control is great. Wow. I like the depth control. So easy to balance. Okay, wow. This studio ambience sounded really, really nice. Let's try a room ambience. Let's put in a little pre-delay. Clean it up just a little bit. Late reflections. Oof. It sounds so good. Okay, let's use drum ambience. We're working on drums, so we wanna know what it sounds like. Okay, it's a longer one. Make it 50-50. Oh. It sounds so good. It sounds so real. That could easily be a real room mic. Woo! I got goosebumps. Okay, wow. I'm really, really impressed by all the drum ambiences. I mean, it sounds so clean. It sounds so natural. It sounds so real. So I could easily use that as a drum room in my mix. And it sounds so spacious. It's so emotional. So I got goosebumps from the sound of the reverb, which rarely ever happened to me. Wow. Okay. I don't know what to say actually. I'm really really impressed right now. Really really like the sound of this room. And also like the width is so wide. This is without. Very dry. And here we go with. Okay, so the first promise that they made that it's actually sounding 3D is also already being proven. Like, I mean, wow, it sounds so natural and crazy. Okay, next up, let's try it on guitars real quick. Okay, so obviously these are recorded with a room, so but I want to give them a little more space. Let's try something like a shorter kind of plate, and let's play with the pre-delay a little bit, so we can actually get this separated a little bit more from the room sound that is already recorded. Check it out. Let's go for a plate. Whew. I really like that the settings here are static, so they're not changing whenever I change the algorithm. This is what I didn't like about a lot of reverbs, that the presets are actually completely changing the sound of everything you dialed in. So I like that. So you go for a general sound and then you just change the color of it, and I like that. It's a very cool feature. Oof. Oh, it sounds so good. Let's go for a air kind of plate. It sounds so real. Wow, I'm really impressed. Okay. Maybe a gold plate. Yeah, this is the sound I'm looking for. In the late reflections, let's see what the early reflections sound like. 100% dry. Dialed it in. Without. And just a tad, like I like the setting of between 7 and 9. Slightly too long. Unfortunately, I cannot go lower than 1 second 700 milliseconds. That would have been nice, but it sounds great. Maybe the heavy plate sounds even better. I like this sound a lot. Wow. Also, I wanna EQ it out a little bit. I think I can only use it as a low shelf, which is too bad. I would have loved to change at least like the dB per octave. I would have loved to change it to a high pass filter, because I think it's cleaner, but it's not too bad. You can easily put an EQ after the Reverb plugin and get rid of all the lows that are maybe too muddy for the mix. But Other than that, I think it sounds very natural with the low shelf. Yeah, I mean you can go 24 dBs of reduction, which is probably enough. I like what the depth knob is actually doing to the low mids of the signal. It gives it so much more energy in the low mids and at the bass area that you can easily tame back a little bit with a high shelf filter. But to have this energy build up there sounds very, very natural and powerful in a mix. And if you put a compressor after that, I think it's even more powerful. I like the sound of that. Let's see how it sounds together with the drums. Nice. I like the space of the drums a lot. Let's continue with the most important part of the song, the vocals. And for this song in particular, I used the spaces to create the vocal sound. And I want to recreate this with Exoverb exclusively. So check it out. I want to make it sound like I'm using a doubler, but I'm actually not using a doubler. I'm only using Exoverb. So let's see if Exoverb can do that. Okay, let's first try to create an ambience.
Much, love me much, yeah.
And from the very get-go, I'm actually getting where I want it to be. So this is very, very interesting. So let's dial in some more changes to that, but it already sounds so good. And I just clicked the vocal ambience algorithm, and it sounded so great.
Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried.
Even in mono, it's such a great separation between the frequencies.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide.
The depth knob is so powerful.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you.
Okay, so we created a very nice vocal effect. And let's dial in a more traditional kind of plate for the vocal. Let's use the vintage plate for that. Let's see what this is doing. 100% wet because we're on a send. And let's dial it back.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you.
I would probably sidechain this one a little bit. So I use my vocals as a source for my sidechain and just make the reverb open up whenever a phrase of the vocal is actually ending. So this is a little more space. Nothing comes to sidechaining when it needs to be cleaned up a little bit.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide.
Now I want to go for even more ambience. So let's check out the ambiences that we can create. Like I want to create a very large ambience as well. And I don't know where this is going. I'm just fooling around. I want to use it in a very creative way. Okay, let's try a large ambience.
Remember that night when you kissed that guy?
Okay, let's try in mono.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not.
Let's get rid of some lows.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide.
Oof.
And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you.
Wow.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy?
It sounds so good.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? It's one of those things you tried to.
Wait, the depth knot is really crazy.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that. Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. And now I do what I can.
Let's hear what this sounds like in the mix.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you. I do what I can. Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you. I do what I can. Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you.
I'm blown away by the versatile, natural sound of this reverb. But first, before I want to take a look on what it does on acoustic guitars that I exclusively recorded for this very review because it wasn't on the original song. Let's say I want to use a more traditional kind of reverb on this vocal. So let's try one of the halls real quick and see what this is doing. Let's try modern hall.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can.
If I try to dial back this long reverb, let's see if I can somehow put it underneath the sound design reverbs that I put on and make it work. Check it out.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do what I can. I sing la la la.
Let's mute all the reverbs.
Much, love me much, yeah. Remember that night when you kissed that guy? Just one of those things you tried to hide. And now I do
Bring him down
what
just a
I
bit.
can. I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you. I do what I can.
So the reverb now is part of the song, and this is the most powerful it could get. Okay, so as I promised, I want to show you what it sounds like on acoustic guitar that I exclusively recorded for this song and for this review because it wasn't on the original song. Check it out. That I just want to make very, very wide and very large. Let's make it a 50-50. Go to the late reflections, maybe like an 85%. And I'm gonna go for a very large, bright hall. Here we go. That's about it.
Sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not.
I think I will need to compress it afterwards so I can actually hear the note that I'm dragging it up to.
I sing la 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 when I don't care. I sing la 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 when I'm not there for you.
That sounds cool to me. So now I got this pad acoustic guitar, very John Mayer kind of style. So I want to show you what I can do with them. Okay, I want them to sound very natural in a nice room, natural ambience. I like this one. It sounds so good. Wow. Let's make it very wide. Depth all the way up. And let's dial it into the mix.
I do what I can. I do what I can. I do what I can.
Get rid of some lows.
I do what I can. I do what I can. I do what I can.
I like that. And last but not means least, I got some fills that I want to emphasize with a little reverb. And the default setting already sounds so great. Let's try that in the mix. Let's make it a little wider so I can actually hear it over the rest of it. So good. Get rid of some lows again.
A game over. I'm sorry. Game over. I'm sorry. Game over. A game over.
And there you have it. I think it's a fantastic sounding reverb plugin, but let's see my conclusion. So here's my conclusion about Exoverb. I want to start with the very, very few downsides because I think it's a fantastic reverb plugin, but obviously there's always room for improvement. And I can imagine that some of the points I want to mention right now are maybe incorporated with future updates, but here we go. I would have loved to see a tempo sync options for the decay or the pre-delay or both. I think it's a very useful tool and it's very easy to build in. And it's easier than calculating the milliseconds amount on your own. So I would have loved to see that. Maybe for some future updates, that would be a very cool feature. Also, what I would have loved to see is a possibility to change the dB per octave on the low shelf, or maybe change it to a high pass or low pass filter on both sides of the frequency spectrum. But again, you can easily use an EQ after your reverb plugin to fix that. So maybe for some future updates, I think that's a very powerful feature. Let's jump to the many great points I want to say about this reverb plugin. First of all, it's a very emotional plugin. It touches me emotionally, so that's what we want to have from a reverb plugin. We are used to room impressions and room sounds so much. We experience room sounds every day, and especially the ambience and the room section of this plugins really got me. That's the reason why we love analog reverb so much, because they're actually behaving in such a specific way. And I think Exoverb did an excellent job with emulating these kind of room impressions with their IR system. I've been looking for a reverb plugin that does exactly that for such a long time, especially on organic sources like vocals, drums, acoustic guitars, guitar amps, bass amps. Also, I think they really achieved one of their main goals, as mentioned in the beginning of the video. They really tried to incorporate this 3D impression of room sounds. I think they did such an excellent job with that. Also, because the depth knob is so powerful and sounds so natural. Yet, even if you want to use this as a mono room, it would never get in the way of your source because the frequency separation works so well. In my opinion, Dear Reality did an excellent job on focusing on what's most important. They followed the rule of essentialism: less but better. Meaning, the plugin might not have all the fancy controls that you know from other manufacturers, like modulation, compression, distortion, all that stuff, but they focused on the main thing, a very well-sounding, nice, natural reverb with a great response to frequencies and such a great separation. And most important, a very emotional reverb. I hardly ever got goosebumps from a reverb plugin, but Exoverb did it. As we all know, the main thing is to keep the main thing, and for a reverb plugin, the main thing is to sound great. And this is a very great sounding reverb plugin. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and feel free to check out Exoverb yourself. There's a 14-day trial, completely free, on dearreality.com. Check it out. See you next time.